Hi everyone, welcome to the Wednesday Wind Down with Academy. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Justine from Academy, and I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to the session. Those of you that joined us last month, we did Lunchtime Laughter, a nice hour of stand-up comedy. This month we're going to tone it down a little bit and wind down with some yoga, which everyone's really excited about. Everyone in the office is lined up ready to go and join in. We've got people joining from various different companies, some people working from home, some people still in the office. And the whole point in this is, as an organisation, Academy, we really value mental health and really connecting your work life with your home life and really finding that work-life balance. And part of that is really taking lunch breaks for yourself and taking the breaks when you need them. And we thought this would be a great opportunity to do something a bit different. And take a yoga class to relax. So I won't keep you for too long. I'm going to hand you over to the lovely Lou from Body Bits Brighton, who's going to do a sort of 45-minute yoga session, and then we'll move on to a Q&A afterwards. If anybody's got any questions for Lou at the end of the session, you can pop them in the chat box, and I'll pass them over to Lou at the end. Great, over to you, Lou.
Thanks so much, Justine. I'm wondering, do we want to wait a couple more minutes? Are we expecting more people, or should we get going?
You feel free to start and people can join in. I don't want to overrun too much at the end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want to overrun either. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Justine, for that lovely introduction. My name is Lou. I'm a yoga teacher, a mindfulness teacher, an arts facilitator, and a mental health worker. So also very passionate about well-being, about how we manage our well-being when we have to work. So today's session is about having a chance for you to come back to the body. I like to think of it both as a shake up of a routine. We're going to physically shake our bodies, but it's also a chance to slow down, to come back. And that's something I'm going to prompt us to do over and over again, to come back to the here and now, to our body, to our breath. And when we come back to that stillness, that's where we might find rest and we might find introspection. If you've never done any yoga before, that's not too much of a worry for me. We're just going to do some quite simple movements. I've set this session up, particularly in theme with work well-being. So the first section of the yoga, the movement practice we're going to do, could all be done at a desk on a chair. I'm going to demonstrate it on the floor, and you might be sat on the floor. I can't see any of you, but it could be at a chair. But there will be a point in the practice where we move around a bit, so we'll need a little bit of space. Yeah. And really what I want to offer today is kind of a toolbox for mindfulness, things that you can bring into your day. So each part of this practice could be broken up. And if something really resonates and works for you, remember it. You can do it all the time. So we're going to start in a comfortable sitting position. If you're sat on the floor, for lots of us that might be cross-legged, or it could be sitting on our shins. The more observant amongst you will notice I've got an ankle support on now, so I'm working with a bit of an injury. If you're on a chair, then just making sure your feet are on the floor. Whether you're leaning back on the chair or sitting upright, make sure your spine is long, and that goes for any of us, however we're sitting. And we might just take a moment maybe to drop our shoulders down or wobble our head side to side. Maybe there's something on our clothes we need to adjust. And then we're going to take the hands onto the body. So it could just be hands on knees or thighs, or sometimes we like to rest our hands in one another. Doesn't make a difference. Whatever feels the most intuitive and comfortable for you. And we're just going to inhale to lift our shoulders up once, and then very soft breath, very soft movement as we exhale to roll them down away from our ears. If it's comfortable for you to do so, you could close the eyes. If you don't like closing your eyes too much, that's good too. You can just softly look down, maybe at your feet, maybe at the ground, so you're not looking all around the room, and you've got a very soft gaze, so you're not focusing on anything in particular. And this is the slowdown. This is the coming into the body. We're doing it as an activity, but it's also a skill that we have to practice. So we'll start by bringing our attention to the parts of our body that are touching the ground or touching a chair. We don't have to do anything with that part of the body, we just notice it. Part of what we might notice is the way the weight of our body is distributed. Some places feel heavy, some places feel light. And we don't need to feel that we're slumpy or heavy, but we notice that the body has a density to it, that we have volume and edges. And then we start to tune into some of the more subtle sensations. So can you feel the sensation of your clothes touching your skin? How is that to notice? That sensation has been there all day since you got dressed. Have you noticed it yet? And then we go through these layers, maybe more subtlety. Can you actually feel the air against your skin? So whichever parts of your skin that are exposed to the air, whether it's just the face or the hands, can you feel a sense of touching the air or air moving against your skin? Or it might be something more like a fizzling sensation at the edges of the skin. Particularly in the hands, we can feel that, and the fingertips. This is us coming into the body, feeling what we feel, where we feel it. And then without there being effort, without having to overthink it, I want you to bring your attention to your breath. The way you have been breathing since you woke up this morning is the right way of breathing. You don't need to change it, you don't need to push or pull it, make it bigger, cleverer, more complicated. Just breathing, that's it. And when we bring our attention to breath, the natural or intuitive breath, we want to get to know it a little better. So does it have a texture or a weight? Maybe there's something more abstract, like a shape or a colour, an object even. We don't have to apply knowledge, we don't have to narrate or explain. We just notice the sensation of being breathed. And as we get into rhythm with the breath, I want you to shift the focus slightly towards those parts between the inhale and exhale, noticing that there's kind of a space, an opening there. Now, if we extend that space too long, we'll bring in discomfort or tension. That's the last thing we want to do today. But could you hover just a moment longer in each of those pauses, those natural pauses between the inhale and exhale? We're slowing it down, we're taking in more detail. And then we're going to bring a pranayama, a yoga breathing exercise to this. So we're going to breathe in 4 parts, and all those parts are going to be evenly timed for the count of 4. So sometimes I like to visualize that I'm tracing the edges of a square as I do this. So we're all going to exhale together. It might be a slightly heavier or more effortful exhale. And then we're going to inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold the breath in the body. 1, 2, 3, 4. Softly, without effort. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath out of the body. 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold without tension. 2, 3, 4. Exhale softly, quietly. 3, 4. Hold the breath out. 2, 3, 4. Just counting now. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4. hold, 2, 3, 4. With your own count here. Continuing this square way of breathing, 4 parts of the breath, evenly paced. If 4 feels too long, then do 3. If 4 feels too short, count to 5. We're not trying to perfect this way of breathing. It's just a way into slowing down and tuning in. Take a last round of breathing in this square 4-part way. And then let your breath do what it knows how to do, what it's already been doing before you asked it. Your own way of breathing. And importantly, come back. What is left behind from this? What are the subtleties of your experience? Nice. Okay, we're going to blink open the eyes if they're not already open. And we're going to start some movement. Again, these are all things that you could do each day at your desk, whether that's at home or in the office. We're going to drop our right ear to our right shoulder. And we're not pulling it down, we're not pushing, but the head has weight. So we notice that there's a stretch or opening along the left-hand side. And then we're going to take our right hand to the outside of the head. Again, we're not pulling, but we're just adding a bit of extra weight. And we might make some small movements with the chin up and down to kind of find where those juicy spots are for us. We carry tension in different places in the body. Okay, we're going to drop the right hand down. We're going to roll the chin to the center of the chest. And then we're going to take our left ear to our left shoulder. And again, without pulling the head, just let there be weight in it. Maybe you could visualize breath happening at the bottom of the neck. And then we'll take a left hand to the outside. Again, not pulling, just the weight of the hand and the arm, adding a bit of stretch. And if it felt good on the other side, you're going to move your chin slightly up and down to find some of those interesting spots. Nice. We're then going to release the left hand. We're going to roll the chin back down to center. And then we're going to make a semicircle roll of the chin between those 3 places. And then we're going to make that movement kind of heavier and slower, so we don't move as far or as fast. And it's just like the movement starting to fade out. The head is very heavy, losing momentum, until our chin is down towards the chest and the head is still. And then we just lift the gaze upwards and forwards so our ears are over our shoulders. And we come back. What's left behind? Nice. Okay, next movement. We're going to make circles with the shoulders backwards. Now we want to try and isolate this movement just to the shoulders, so your body might want to get involved. See if you can just keep it in the shoulders. A few circles each way. And then in the opposite direction. That can feel a little bit more complicated. If your eyebrows try to get involved by concentrating, then tell them they're not needed here. Okay, nice. That's just to loosen up the shoulders a little. And the next one can be a really helpful one for easing physical and emotional tension. We're going to make an inhale as we squeeze our shoulders all the way up to our ears. We kind of scrunch up a bit, maybe even our face gets scrunched up. And as we exhale, we make a heavy sigh as we drop the shoulders down. So we're going to make 2 more like that. You can be as noisy as you like. Take what you need from this. Last one. Nice. Pause, come back, what's left behind? I'm going to say that time and time again because we need reminding. Breath, body. Okay, next movement. We're going to inhale to sweep the arms round and then up overhead. Nice. As we exhale, we take our right hand to the outside of our left thigh, our left fingertips behind us into this gentle twist. So we've got the hand on the outside of the thigh. That can help us with being tall, but we don't want to push ourselves into shape. We're not trying to bring tension to the body or achieve anything in particular. Just a twist. Again, this can be done really easily on a chair. And then we're going to move the other way. So with the fingertips kind of dragging, we inhale to sweep the arms up and overhead. And then as we exhale, we twist the other way, hand on the outside of the thigh, fingertips on the floor behind you. And using that hand on the thigh to help you be tall, but not push you or bring discomfort in. The shoulders are both soft. And then we're going to move with breath, as we often do in a yoga practice. So the inhale is to sweep the arms up and overhead. And we continue moving, we continue breathing as we exhale to come into a twist on the other side. Straight away we come back out. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale into a twist. We'll do one more on each side. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, twist. Can you make the movement really fluid and connected? So it might mean you slow it down a bit more. Inhale. Exhale. This time we inhale, sweep the arms up. And as we exhale, we lightly place the hands back on the knees. And then we're still. We come back. We tune in. We notice the way we're breathing, or if something feels different or freed up or slowed down from moving in that way. Nice. Okay. For the next one, we take our hands forward of us on the floor. So fingertips spread about as wide as the knees. If we're on a desk, then we can put our hands on the table in front of us. So as we inhale, we're going to roll our right armpit and shoulder up and overhead to make this side stretch. And as we exhale, we reach our fingertips far away from the side of our waist. And we want to make sure that our hips, our bottom and our thighs are really soft, that we're not asking them to work here. But we are reaching the fingertips away, and it's almost like there's a wall just beyond the tip of your fingertips that you can't quite touch. Nice. Another inhale here. And then as we exhale, we roll the right hand down. And as we inhale, we roll the left armpit and fingertips up and over. And exhale to reach the fingertips away. And again, as though the fingertips are pressing into something, but the thighs, the hips, they can stay soft. They're not doing much right now. We might notice the way breath feels in the side of the body. We're going to inhale again here and exhale to roll the arm and chest down. Then we're going to move with breath. So the inhale is to roll the right arm up and over, and the exhale is to take it down. Inhale, left arm up and over. Exhale down. Couple more times with your own breath. Don't worry about making perfect shapes. That's not what we're here to do. We're just here to move our body and to feel it all. Okay, the next time, whichever hand comes down, we're going to keep it there. And then with an inhale, we take our hands to our knees and gently press ourselves up to seated. Nice. Okay, we're going to keep hands on the knees. And I'll show you this one side on. So the shoulders are soft. As we inhale, we're going to press our chest forward and up. Our shoulders roll away from our ears. Hands on the knees. We might look up very gently. And then as we exhale, it's like we lean back and make space between the shoulder blades. We can use the hands on the knees to help us with this, to round the spine. So this is more of a cat pose. And then we inhale to roll forward to make a cow pose. And exhale, move back. So we're going to do a couple of rounds like this. I want to prompt you not to be just moving in between two shapes and finding the most sensation you can there, but thinking about the fluidity of breath as you move. So making it continuous. Maybe those pauses at the top and bottom of the breath that we've explored are the places where you're still and everything else is movement. Nice. And then we're going to keep some spirit of this movement, but we kind of make it a bit more wild and free. So we're going to start to take it into the side to side as well, circling over the knees, moving quite fluidly and freely with the spine, noticing the way weight changes underneath our hips. And then we'll change direction. Again, we're not trying to make shapes. We're not trying to get good grades. We're just moving our body. We're just coming into the body through movement. And then start to make that movement like 20% smaller. And then 40% smaller. And then keep slowing it down at this rate. So you're kind of more of a small sway or circling over the hips. And then we'll gradually become still. And then we come back. We notice what's left behind and we slow it down. We might come back to the flowing breath. Breath that doesn't require effort or thought. We come back to the sensation of being in a body. Nice. Okay. The next little bit we're going to do is stood up. If you have a yoga mat or a space that looks like a yoga mat, great. If you don't, I think we'll manage. But just be wary of keeping yourself safe and not knocking things over. So the next shape we're going to make is to come up onto our feet and hang over them in this forward folding shape. We want to have our feet as wide as our hips or maybe even wider. You can do this in socks, shoes or barefoot. And we all have a bend in the knees, so our tummy's on the thighs. For some of us, it's a very deep bend. For some of us, it's a smaller one. And we want to make sure our head and face is very soft here, so we're not looking forward, looking at the screen. I'll do my best to describe with words, so don't look at the screen unless you, well, you can look at the screen, but only if you need a prompt. So let the head hang, and then start to sway your body from side to side here. So you sort of rock your weight between the edges of the feet. The arms might hang. The hands can either be hanging down or you can hold on to the elbows if you don't like the sensation of hands hanging. And then sort of making a semicircle shape as you sway from side to side. And then the next time you sway to one side, you're going to take your fingertips to the outer edge of the right foot. Your knees can be really far bent here. It doesn't make a difference. Your left knee is definitely quite far bent. And then this time, it's like your left armpit and shoulder start to get pulled up to the ceiling on a piece of string. And then as you inhale, you sweep both arms up and over. As you exhale, you're going to bend the right knee quite deeply and roll down on the opposite side. So we're moving pretty slow here, and that'll help protect our body and make sure we don't get too dizzy. We're going to come up and round again. If it's an inhale at the top that works, then use it. If it doesn't, don't worry. Nice. And then the next time our wrists come up to the top, we're actually going to go back in the opposite direction. So change the direction of this movement. Make sure the head is quite soft here. It kind of has a tendency to be alert and say, what's happening? We want the neck to be quite soft. It's somewhere where plenty of us carry tension. And then the next time your fingertips land on the floor, you're going to stay here. The knees are bent. We'll just sway the head out from side to side. And then we're going to make, through the mouth, a kind of noisy exhale, a bit like a horse. And Nice. Okay, feet flat on the floor, knees bent, toes kind of spread but light. It's like these invisible pieces of string are pulling us up at the back of the shoulders again. The head and arms stay very soft and heavy as we gently unfurl ourselves up to standing. When our legs are straight, we roll our shoulders back, face forward, palms facing forward, feet on the floor. Nice. And if you need to readjust your feet so they're around in line with your hips, then you can. We're all going to play with rocking our weight forward on our toes slightly. And then we're going to lean back. Our body doesn't like this one. Our brain doesn't like this one. Lean back into the heels. Nice. And then we'll lean over to one side. And then to the other. And then we want to kind of circle our weight very subtly between these 4 points. Some parts will feel wobbly. It's okay to feel wobbly. We're probably not going to fall over. We're not moving too much. And then you gradually start to fade out that circling or swaying as the weight comes more into the center of the feet. We're still. We're standing tall. Maybe the eyes are closed, or we're looking softly down or forward. We can feel our fingertips and our toes. And we're coming back again. This is it. This is the yoga. This is what you came here to feel. So feel it. Thoughts will happen. That's how our brains work. We're just prompting ourselves to come back to the body. Nice. Okay. We're going to do a bit of standing stuff. Reminder that I'm working with a sprained ankle, and we're all working with different things going on in our bodies. So we are very gentle and very kind to ourselves. We're going to start by printing the right foot on the floor. So I kind of like to step the right foot forward and spread my toes to really feel that I've got firm base in that right foot. And then that firm base is so much so that it feels very stable and easy to pick up the left toes for a moment. I'm using the wall to help me balance. If you have a wall or table near you, it's really helpful to use. We're going to cross the left ankle over the top of the right thigh and sit low. And we're going to hold on to the sole of the left foot with the right hand and place the left hand on the left knee. And we just sit low for a moment, and we probably notice that there's a stretch sensation happening around our butt cheeks and our thighs. And it's hard and weird to stand on one leg, so we acknowledge that too while we're getting covered in hanging plant. Okay, we're going to stay on the right foot. I can feel it in the right leg too. I'm doing it with you. You're going to step the left foot behind you with the heel lifted, so you've got this lunging shape with the legs. You're going to reach the arms overhead and take the left wrist in the right hand rather. As you inhale, you're going to begin to straighten your front legs, stretch up so the body gets really long. And as you exhale, you rebend the right knee and draw the left wrist over to the right. So we're making the left side of the body almost as long as possible for a full stretch up the side of the body. All muscles that are quite impacted by sitting in a chair all day. Okay, another inhale to release the wrist and reach fingertips up. And we exhale as we heel toe our right foot wide as the mat if you're using one. Take the hands to the floor and drop the left knee down. So we're in this low lunging position. If it's uncomfy to have our left knee on the floor, then put a cushion or a rolled up blanket underneath it. And then with the hands on the floor, we're going to begin to straighten and bend that front leg, not in any particular way, just in a way that feels interesting or playful. And then we'll start to make the movement more like a circling of the hips. So just moving quite freely into the joints. Maybe you lift up the toes There's no rules on how we should be moving here. So if you have an instinct, a way of moving that feels interesting or good, that's what you should go for. Nice. Okay, hands back to the flat to the floor, knee bent. We're going to step the right knee back in line with the left knee. And we're not sticking our bum up here, although there might be an instinct to. We're going to bend the elbows in towards the body, so it's a mini press up as we very gently and carefully lower ourselves onto our front. We'll reach one leg back and then the other, so it feels quite spacious at the front of the pelvis. Maybe you wiggle your hips side to side. The hands are under the shoulders, and as we inhale, we lift up the chest, shoulders away from the ears. The tops of the toes touch the ground, and we're even going to hover our hands, wiggle our fingers, maybe make some circles with the wrists in either direction. And then we'll inhale as we place the hands back under the shoulders, and exhale as we lower ourselves onto our fronts. We inhale to tuck the toes, press into the hands, so mini press up to a tabletop or a low plank. And then we're going to take our bum back towards our heels, arms forward for a child's pose. And you might want your knees wider than your hips. And then we're just still. And I think you know what I'm going to say. We come back to the body, to our experience. We're not doing these movements to get really good at doing these movements. We're doing them because they're a routine. They're a way of feeling. So what do you feel? What is left behind? Sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's glaring you in the face. Okay, from this child's pose, we're going to pick ourselves up to hands and knees and step the right foot where the right wrist is. We'll pick up the left knee, lean over the right foot, so much so that we can pick up the left leg just for a moment. We'll inhale here and then exhale as we place the left foot alongside the right. Body hangs over the legs. Soft bend in the knees. We're going to inhale to roll up and exhale to roll our shoulders back, palms forward. Nice. Come back, stillness, standing at the top of the mat. Maybe you feel into your fingertips. Maybe you feel into the soles of your feet. Shaking it up and slowing it down. Okay. So now we're going to do that stepping forward into the left foot to make sure we have a very stable base. Maybe you go heel, arch, toes to make sure it feels very secure. The left knee stays a little bit bent. And then using a balance if it helps, or trying it on your own if you haven't got one, you're going to pick up the right foot and then cross the right ankle over the top of the left thigh and sit low or a bit lower into this balancing chair pose. And you'll take your left hand to the sole of the right foot and the right hand to the right knee. And it might be wobbly and you might need to come in and out. That's all okay. We might tune into the stretching sensation we get along the thigh and the back of the butt cheeks. And then we stay on the left foot, even though the leg is starting to talk to us, and we step the right foot back into this lunge. If it feels a bit wobbly, like you just saw me wobble, take that left foot a little wider than the hip. We're going to reach up the arms and take the right wrist in the left hand. We inhale to straighten the front leg, be really long and stretchy, and then exhale to bend the knee and draw the wrist over to the left. We might also tune in to stretch sensations at the front of the left thigh. And then we're going to inhale to release the wrist, reach the arms up. And exhale as we heel toe the left foot wider. Take the hands to the floor and drop the right knee. Again, there's an invitation to prop up the right knee if it feels uncomfy on the floor. And then with our hands on the floor, we're going to start to move in and out of that front leg. Bending and then halfway straightening. And then we want to explore a more circular version, so more like we're wagging our tail or circling our tail side to side. Again, the head wants to stay alert often. Could you just let it switch off? We're not using the head here, so the neck could relax for a while. All right, nice. Hands on the floor. Left knee steps back alongside the right. Elbows bent in towards the body, lower all the way to the floor. Shuffle your thighs slightly wider and slightly back, so they're around hip distance to mat distance. Hands under the shoulders. We're going to inhale up through this low cobra, and then we squeeze the elbows in and lift up a little higher. And then we bring in a little sway. So it's like we press into one palm and then press into the other. Nice. Another inhale here, shoulders away from ears. Exhale, slow it down. Use the strength of your arms to lower onto your tummy. And then press yourself all the way back into one of those child poses, where we'll just hang out for a breath or two. Invitation to come back, to feel it all. We're trying to tell ourselves that it's safe to come back. It's okay to feel my body. It's okay to feel my emotions. But we have to take good care of ourselves to create that environment. Okay, cool. We're going to lift ourselves up onto hands and knees. We step the left foot where the left wrist is. We lift the right knee, tuck the toes. So we make this shape. Hands stay on the floor, but we're going to step into the left foot to lift up the right foot for a breath. And then exhale as we take the right foot down and hang over the legs. And then we're going to inhale to roll up. Exhale to drop the shoulders back, palms forward. Invitation to come back, to slow it down, and to take it all in. How do your fingertips feel? What do they feel? How do you experience weight under the soles of your feet right now? Can you tune into that authentic flow of breath? And then we're going to open the eyes. And then the next thing we're going to do are sort of embodiment express exercises. So quick physical exercises that are quite energetic. We're not going to do them for too long, don't worry. That can really help us come back kind of in emergencies or, you know, when we just need to feel our bodies. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to have our feet around hip distance and we're going to bend our knees so we're kind of a little bit slumpy and leaning forward. We're going to take our hands, our opposite hand to our opposite shoulder or thereabouts, kind of the elbows are crossed, or we could just be holding the opposite elbow. Anything works. The head goes heavy and we're just going to sway from side to side, rocking the weight from one heel to the other. Like you are a baby being held, like someone is doing this movement for you. Nice. Okay, you're going to release the arms, let them be really floppy, and then press into your heels so you come up to standing. That's practice one, might be really helpful, might resonate with you. Another one we're going to do is shaking it out. We're going to start with the wrists and the hands. And then we're going to move our whole arms and our shoulders. And we want to be gentle with the head, but the head might want to rock from side to side. And then we're actually going to get the legs involved and kick out each leg and shake it. And maybe we even jump a little bit when we do it. I can't see any of you, so I really hope you're doing it with me. We're shaking it out freely. Remember how you felt when you used to go to clubs or festivals, or when you were a kid and you heard that song. And then we're going to shake it out. And then we're going to go straight into our third embodiment exercise. We keep the energy up We're going to start tapping up and down one of our legs. Maybe you keep a rocking motion as well. And then the other leg, up and down. Not too hard, just enough to feel the edges of your skin. And then you do it on your lower tummy, a little bit on your lower back and your bottom as well. Then you tap over your chest, the tops of your shoulders, and then you're going to go up and down each arm. And then the next one, we do the back of the neck. We're gentle, but we do the face just a little. And then we're going to exhale, but it's a big sigh. 2 more like that. And then we're going to be really still. And even though we've become still, there's probably that very energetic vibration feeling happening in the body, like there's a resonance of that movement. And again, we came here to feel it, to shake it up, to slow it down. So here's your chance. What's going on at the edges of your fingertips, the edges of your skin? How does the weight feel against the soles of your feet? How has your breath responded? Take it all in. That is mindfulness, the practice of awareness, of being here and now and able to be receptive and feeling to what's going on. Nice. Okay, the next bit, we're going to lie down. If you're not in a place where you can lie down, you can sit up, and I'll try and give different amendments. But if you can lie down on the floor, you're going to lie on your back. And if you're lying down, you're going to draw your knees in towards your chest and take a very slow and controlled sway from one side to the other. If you're sitting upright or sitting in a chair, you're just going to sway your whole body side to side, like I'm demonstrating. And then we start to make that movement much smaller and much slower. Almost so the movement's no longer visible, but you can feel it. There's a felt resonance of movement. And then gradually we become still. We take it all in. What's left behind, us here right now. And if you're lying down, you're going to straighten out your legs or take your soles of the feet to the floor, whichever's more comfortable. And for the next minute, just minute, we're going to be totally still. A longer pause to come back to the body, like you are welcome to, all the time. But sometimes we feel it's not safe to do that. So let's cultivate an environment where it's safe for us to be in our body and to feel what we feel. We're interested to see what's left behind in this space. Has some of the fog cleared? Have we created or cultivated a space for mindfulness, for slowing down, for being here and now? And then we're all going to take a slightly deeper or longer breath. And the exhale's a bit heavier. Maybe it's more like a sigh. We're going to very gently open our eyes. If we're lying on our backs, we're going to roll over to one side and slow as you like. you're going to bring yourself up to seated, but you don't need to rush. And then when we're all seated, we're going to take one hand to our heart and one hand to our tummy. Our shoulders are soft. And we just take a couple of breaths, reminding ourselves that we're allowed to slow down, that we're allowed to come back, that we're allowed to experience the here and now and feel well and feel it all. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining me for that movement and mindfulness part of today's session. And we're joined again by Justine, who is going to lead us through a discussion about mindfulness and well-being in workplaces.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lou. That was brilliant. I really enjoyed that session. Doing this sort of halfway through the day on a Wednesday is such a good sort of halfway through the week point. I hope everyone's feeling refreshed and ready for the rest of the week. So like Lou said, we're going to do just a really quick Q&A. If anybody's got any questions for Lou, you can feel free to pop them in the chat box. But in the meantime, I've got a couple of questions that I'd love to ask you, Lou, sort of about, obviously yoga is just part of what you do, and sort of part of the sort of movement of the body is only a really small part of it, and it's all so much more connected than that. So most of the people that use our academy platform, the people that are in this session and the people that may watch this on catch up afterwards, you know, we've all got busy working lives, we're all really sort of stretched for time. And what tips would you have for somebody that really wants to incorporate sort of mindfulness and well-being into their working week?
Thank you, Justine. That's a really helpful question, I think, because today we've done mindfulness and yoga and movement as an activity. We spent 45 minutes doing it, but which is fun, which is nice. But I would like to think of mindfulness more as a skill that we cultivate. So we've practiced it just then, but we want to get better at practicing it in everyday life. And I would say the way into that is starting small. It doesn't have to be a 45-minute activity that you take out of your day. It's just a time in your day when you take a step back from thinking and doing and come into being. So whether that is like a sensory break from screens at your work desk, maybe for every 50 minutes that you look at a screen, you say, I want 10 minutes not looking at a screen, if it's helpful to have structures. Whether it's leaving a physical office or home working space to get out, even just for 5 minutes, this stuff really makes a difference. What else did I want to say about that? But it's also about taking proper and meaningful breaks. That is mindfulness, and giving ourselves a chance to unwind, noticing how we're sitting, how we're breathing during our work day, becoming more aware, and switching off the autopilot. And when we switch off the autopilot, it gives us that chance to feel, to experience. And we need to remind ourselves that our bodies, our brains didn't evolve for us to sit at a desk and look at a screen for 8 hours. So we need to give ourselves quite a lot of compassion and break for that, to move our body, to take breaks.
Great, thank you. It's really interesting, just the concept of taking a break sometimes can feel really alien, and a lot of us feel like we've got to, hustle all the time and keep going. But yeah, something as simple as taking a break really is mindfulness, and that's great to know. So with I guess a question leading on from that then, if somebody is totally new to mindfulness, hasn't tried anything like that, but is feeling the need to kind of incorporate something that into their day, what one thing would you give them to start? What sort of really quick 5-minute thing could somebody do this week to incorporate a bit of mindfulness into their day?
I think that's a good question. And like I say, I believe that there's lots of activities that can be mindful or mindfulness. And it's all about finding our own ways of working out how we undo, how we step back. I think sensory breaks from screen time or sensory breaks from a physical environment are really important. So that would probably be it if I was to give someone one thing, saying that 10-minute break where you swap from bad work screen to good phone screen is probably not as helpful as you think. So it might be better to do no screen, to try and develop practices of being aware of your environment, being aware of how your body feels, whether that's through breathing, through, you know, noticing things around you. Yeah, but it's really just about taking breaks. You weren't built to go the whole time.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. So a question we've had just on our internal channel is a really simple one, actually. If somebody's never tried yoga before, so specifically a question about yoga, where would you suggest there's so many different yoga classes out there and different sort of practices and lots of different names that people might not have heard of. How could somebody get started with a yoga class? What should they be looking for?
That's a really good question. And you're right that there is a lot of yoga jargon, I'd say, or a lot of language that is used around yoga that isn't knowledge that most people have. I guess if you're starting out to yoga, it can be helpful to research whether they say that the class is suitable for beginners. If you were to go into a physical yoga space, to speak to the instructor that you're a total beginner. But sometimes people have different expectations about what beginner means. They might mean beginner, but someone who's in very like good physical strength and is able to like be very flexible and mobile. Or it might be someone who's beginner who has mobility issues or hasn't done much physical exercise. So it often is a case of just trying to do as much research as possible, not worrying too much about the names of the classes, but more trying to engage exactly with who's teaching and what their ethos is. And sometimes going to those environments can be daunting and too much, and they're not always environments that are accessible for people with marginalized bodies or people who are just anxious about that. So it's also worth looking up online resources, YouTube instructors or apps that people use. I mean, of course, I want people to support their local teachers and their local independent studios, but really it's whatever you can meaningfully engage with is a good start.
Well, thank you so much. So we'll bring it to a close there. So just for anybody who doesn't know, you'll be able to catch up with this session on our Academy platform. Academy is a holistic learning platform which is designed to balance upskilling and personal well-being. So looking at you as a whole human being and not just a number, not just a worker, looking at every area of your life, including things like mind and body, like we've done today, spirituality, family life, not just your work life. If you'd like to try Academy, you can do so through our website, which is academy.io, where you'll be able to access all of the courses free for 30 days, and including sessions like this one and like our stand-up comedy session from last month. Thanks very much, Lou, and hopefully we'll see you again for another session in the future. Brill, thank you very much. I'll end the event there. Thanks everybody for joining in.
Thank you. Goodbye.